Hello, you fabulous interior design professional. I am so glad you're here, and I have a question for you. Do you like to be right? Do you like to be 100% right? Oh, yes. I like to be 100% right. And this quality, which I do not consider my best quality, comes out frequently with my husband, where it's not enough that I'm just right. I want to be 100% right. And so I will just keep impressing upon him whatever it is that I want him to surrender to. It's not a good quality. It does not bring my husband and I closer together. And our guest today had a suggestion for anyone who feels like that particular stance isn't working. And the suggestion is you could practice by agreeing that whoever you're in confrontation with has to be at least 10% right. 10% right. That's what Janine Aurichio is going to share with us today. One of the things she's going to share with us today, as she talks about how really it's an inside job. And although you have the systems you need through Business of Design, you also need to make sure you're preparing yourself mentally for what's ahead. And how can you have the best communication style, the best strategies for getting along with your clients. And that doesn't mean surrendering to everything they want you to do or giving in when you know you shouldn't give in. It's really more about feeling your feet on the ground and feeling empowered so you can run a thriving business and have lasting peace of mind. So our guest today, Janine Aurichio, is a business consultant. She's a mental fitness coach for design firms and leaders who want big, meaningful transformation. And I'm always curious why someone would target or work exclusively with interior designers. Well, Janine used to be a designer, so that makes a lot of sense to me. She has an MBA from Columbia. She was also had a corporate marketing career. So now she's blended her superpowers and she combines this artistic side of herself and a scientific background with a little bit of magic and help us bust out of being stuck and being stagnant. And she's got some great practical tips we can use, like the 10% right rule that she's going to share with us in this episode. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm not wearing makeup today. I'm not trying to be like Pamela Anderson, although I think that's very brave. I think that's wonderful. I'm just going to go for a facial, which I desperately need, and it did not make sense to put on makeup before I head out the door to go for a facial. And it's amazing to me how hard I can be on myself. And this, of course, how I look is one of the ways I can be very hard on myself, but also my business. Did I pick the right thing? Did I do enough for the client? Did I give enough? Did I share enough for my staff? As a general rule, and I think it's true for a lot of us, we can be very hard on ourselves. And I can be very generous to someone else, even at my own expense. And I think that that's a conversation we're going to have today with Janine as well, that you want to find in most cases that there is a win-win. So you and your client can have a good experience. And I think that that's magic when you can make that happen. And I feel like most of the time I do live in that space where I'm getting what I need and my clients are getting what I need, what they need. And I'm giving them really good value in exchange for they're paying me and they're giving me their trust. And that matters a lot too. So really good conversation today with Janine. I'm so glad you are here. And oh, by the way, some of this we're going to be doing at the retreat as well. I know that I've talked about the fact that we're going to ask you to submit your profit and loss statement prior to the retreat if you choose to do that. I think it's a really important exercise. We're going to give your profit and loss statement. We're not going to pass it around the office. It's going to go directly to the Business of Design CFO, who's going to analyze it and come back to us with a report. And then we're going to help you fix the things that need to be fixed. And one of the things that needs to be fixed, or category of things that needs to be fixed, is sometimes our internal messaging and the way we speak to ourselves and our mindset. And so maybe this is a nice conversation that gets you thinking about, I should really be going to that retreat because it is going to be 100% transformational. I think you're going to be so, so, so grateful you came and go to businessofdesign.com and get signed up. In the meantime, Cheryl's got fast announcements, and then we're going to get right into the show. I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks, Kimberly. Well, let's start with details for the retreat since Kimberly just mentioned what you can expect to gain out of it. Let's talk about the logistics. It is happening in Santa Monica, California on Thursday, October 16th through Sunday, October 19th. Regular price is $39.90 and members are going to save $500 on their tickets. Space is limited. We like to keep it a nice small group to make sure that everyone has time to get everything out of the retreat that they want. Discussions are going to be based on what our attendees tell us they need from the retreat. And then, of course, we've got some dedicated learnings as well, which include your profit and loss statement and time with our CFO. So again, head to the website. Retreat is right there in the main navigation and sign up. If you've got any questions, reach out to me sooner rather than later. If you want to join us, we really want you to get in on this now so that we can start planning. And then coming up in May, we have a webinar, Project Management, a Legal Path to Compliance. That's happening on May 27th at noon EST, and we are going to be joined by attorney Wendy Estella. Kimberly and I have spoken with countless lawyers over the last decade to find a workaround for those locations, for designers in those locations that don't allow you to take on project management and hire trades on behalf of your clients. In some locations, you need to have a contractor license. In others, it's a simple matter of paperwork. So for those areas where it's a little more complicated, we have finally found a method that is going to work for you. And we're going to walk you through that. We're going to give you the legal language you need to add to your contract. We're going to give you a checklist to make sure that you have all of your bases covered. And we are going to get you started on the path to greater profitability, because offering project management to your clients adds huge value to your services and allows you to implement the BOD 15-step project management strategy from start to finish. So if you're not yet a member, please join us, get started learning those systems, and then get registered. Again, May 27th, 12 p.m. EST. Join us for Project Management, a Legal Path to Compliance, that you will find on the website as well. And of course, questions on anything we do here at Business of Design, please reach out to me, Cheryl at businessofdesign.com. I would love to hear from you. Thanks so much.
Janine and I decided today that we would have a frank and open conversation and just see where it goes. And no, nothing's off the table, Janine. I mean,
Awesome.
if you want to talk about, how you drink protein coffee in the morning or your politics, I'm game for that. In fact, now that I throw it out there, tell everybody what protein coffee is, because this is my new thing I want to try.
Everybody needs to try this if you like coffee. So I did not create this. This is a recommendation by Dr. Stacy Sims, who's a Stanford exercise physiologist. And she was talking about the importance of women having protein in the morning, especially if you exercise in the morning. But I don't like to eat, I've never been a breakfast eater. So you can mix your favorite protein powder with, almond milk, oat milk, water, regular milk, I suppose, if you drink that, and then add your coffee to it. And I get like 26 grams of protein before 8 o'clock in the morning. Boom.
And is it yummy? Like, I always think protein powders have some kind of weird aftertaste.
I've tried a lot of them. I found one that I really like. So,
Okay.
and you can get vanilla or chocolate flavored or your flavor. And that's protein coffee. And then I don't feel hungry for a long time.
I love this. Okay, I'm going to try it. This makes sense to me, completely makes sense to me, as does the rest of the topic we're going to talk about today, which is more healthy relationships, more healthy communication, because we're an interior design podcast with your clients. But we were saying offline that this is obviously good communication skills can help you at the dinner table. It can help you in the boardroom. It can help you with that weird uncle who has a different political leaning than you do. So,
Exactly.
no, not that this is a big topic, right? Not that we could talk for 92 hours on this subject, but how are you going to whittle it down for our audience today?
Well, here's the thing. Okay, what I love is the way what I want to talk about and what you do for your clients kind of meshes together. So you provide the outside systems that clients need, right? That are so important for running a business. I'm a process nerd. I'm all for these exterior systems. Well, what I help my clients with and people with and designers is the inside systems, what's
Mhm.
going on between your ears. And so, yes, it's about communication, but also mindset is a common word that's thrown around now, and neuroplasticity.
Mhm.
Um, so, the good news is we can change our brains with some simple tricks. The kind of bad news is we need to because we've been installed a faulty operating system.
Hmm.
That's the
Yeah.
system from birth. So the human brain is wired for negativity. And I'll try to keep this really simple and short. Um, for survival reasons, when we were developing as a species, it was important to recognize the threat, what was bad, what might be dangerous. So that survival brain, I think we've probably all heard about by now, serves that function. But unfortunately, it has us, it creates a lot of problems. It creates a lot of stress. It creates
Mhm.
negative thought patterns that turn into negative beliefs that turn into some not so helpful behaviors, maybe pleasing, maybe avoiding, maybe
Right.
perfectionism, maybe being a hyperachiever. I mean, I can relate to all of those. And
You
we,
literally gave the order of how we talk about, in this case, it's a conversation about money mindset, but you have these, hardwired thought processes, and then
Mhm.
eventually they become hardwired patterns of behavior. And
Yes,
if you're not aware of doing it, you'll keep sabotaging yourself. And it's so once you see it, you can't unsee it. So it's not just related to money. You're saying that these same things, these same patterns, negative patterns, can trap us in all kinds of
yes,
ways.
exactly. And guess what? Your client has the same ones,
Right.
and
Yeah.
the contractor you're working with, and the architect, and your staff, and
Mhm.
your spouse, and your neighbor. Like
Yeah.
it is the human condition. It's called the negativity bias. And three to
Right.
one, we look for what's bad or negative or needs fixing or is a problem to, help us survive. But unfortunately, it has the opposite effect.
I literally joke with a good friend of mine that I'm always scanning for
Yeah.
threats, scanning,
Yep.
even walking down the sidewalk, scanning for threats, going into the parking
Mm-hmm.
lot, scanning for threats, scanning for threats.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, it feels like there would be nothing left of me if that was gone. Like I would just
Yes.
like poof, gone.
You're just this empty shell, right? No, but
Yeah.
that's totally understandable. That's exhausting, right?
Yeah.
That keeps us in fight or flight mode all the time, which is not
Mhm.
healthy. But here's the even better news. What is underneath that and beyond that is your true self.
Mhm.
This true essence self. It's like the golden Buddha that's been covered under plaster for hundreds of years.
So, Janine, you're going to tell me that there's more I need to do besides just meditate, right? Because to go from like loud, noisy monkey brain to like half an hour of meditation a day, like you're going to give me something more I can do, right?
I'm going to give you lots of tools
Okay.
and so today I'm going to give you tools that you can use right away.
Okay.
And if you want to really do that neuroplasticity I talked about and rewire that automatic scanning, um, you just have to do simple 3 minute during your day. Just pay attention to your body.
Hmm.
That's all it takes. It is a mindfulness practice. Um, but like right now, feel your feet on the floor. See if you can locate how many of your toes you can locate. Just wiggle your toes around a little bit. Feel your seat in the chair. Pay attention to a few breaths. And believe it or not, I mean that already, if you're focused on your body, you can't be focused on the chatter in your mind. I mean, you can't do both at the same time. And so a regular practice of just noticing that several times a day, or when you're like, oh, I'm starting to scan, or oh, I'm starting to feel irritable, or oh, I'm feeling resentful, or whatever the negative emotion is, I feel afraid. If you can just remember to get into your body for a minute or two, it's miraculous. And that is what is over time rewiring the pathway to how you respond to something.
Okay. And I can see how that in a moment where there's you're in some stressful situation, I can see that,
Mhm.
but I can also see how that might be helpful when you're future catastrophizing. If there's a
Oh,
single word that covers that, I don't know if there is, but that, that like, oh my God, this thing is happening in the world,
mhm.
and it could mean the end of this. So that's also a good time probably to tap into this.
Absolutely. That's the perfect time. And yeah, anytime that you feel any sort of negative emotion, fear, regret, doubt, anger, blame, irritability, frustration, disappointment, that's a signal that that survival brain is kicking in. And the signal is helpful. Like we want that signal. It's almost like you want a signal when you're going to put your hand on a hot stove that it's hot, so you pull your hand away. But
Yeah.
what do we do with those mental signals and those negative emotions? Sometimes we stay there and we kind of marinate in it, but we don't want to do that. So use that as a signal like, oh, I'm getting hijacked again by that survival brain. Let me just take a few breaths and get in my body. Whether it's a big thing, like, the world feels like it's spiraling out of control, or a little thing like, oh, that sofa's going to be late.
Like,
Which
is that a
sometimes,
little thing?
you know,
In our world, sometimes that feels like a big thing, but I
yes.
appreciate the context there. I appreciate the context. So, and that's a really good transition. I know you're an expert in client conflict and coaching designers and architects, et cetera, in
Mhm.
how to deal with those client conflicts. I would say business of design is there so you have a far fewer of them,
Yes.
but they will
Yeah.
still happen. And if they do happen, what are some of the things that you've run into in coaching our community, and what do you want to talk to us about in that sense?
Yeah. And so here's the thing, just hearkening back to what we talked about in the beginning. Um, we're always there. Like you've heard, no matter where you go, there you are. So even if you've lessened through putting your systems into place, the number of like oopsies, we've still got that brain wiring. So we're still gonna think the delayed sofa is a really big deal. And maybe it is, but we're maybe gonna outsize it. You know what I mean? Make
Yeah.
it and all it's gonna do is cause us stress. So the reason I got into this work, I was a designer myself, and I saw all these amazing creative people doing this beautiful work and bringing beauty into the world, which I believe is so important. And they were stressed out and overwhelmed and, running around um, and so like my passion is to come from that inside out and help people. The world's going to happen, stuff's going to happen. This is a complex business. You're going to go to Kimberly for your great systems and let me help you with the inside stuff. And so one
Mhm.
of my favorites is the 10% right principle. So this is where you might want to get out some pencils and just jot down some quick notes, because these are things you can put to use right away, even if you don't meditate in the morning. But
Good.
you should, even though I don't like using the word should.
I know.
So 10% right. Okay. So many conflicts and problems spiral out or can't get resolved because one or both of us is rooted in needing to be right,
Mhm.
100% right. and we lock in on our position and that's it. Well, if you can adapt this 10% right principle that the other person is always at least 10% right, you can use that in conflict resolution. So, for example, a client is complaining about their time, about the time billing. Never happens, right? um,
What an
you know,
odd choice.
what
You,
an,
what an odd scenario you've
I know,
posed.
I just
Yeah.
pulled that out of nowhere. If you can get into the space, and it can also help if you feel yourself getting agitated by that, take that 2 minutes to get in your body and then think about, okay, there's some grain of truth in this. They are at least 10% right. You can put yourself in their shoes and objectively assess what is or might be going on with them or what's underneath the complaint. Um, you know, One, is there something you could, a better way you could present your time billing? I don't know. Maybe they're confused by it and don't want to admit they're confused. Maybe they're just tired of getting invoices monthly and maybe they want to, change the frequency of the invoices they get. Maybe they're just feeling pressure about something outside of the project. But um, if you can
Maybe you've
understand,
negotiated fees with them before and you've trained them that if they complain, you'll take money off.
yes, yes,
That's a thing too,
that's a
right?
thing too. Um, and this is where one of the powers of that other brain I referenced earlier, I'll call that your sage brain.
Mhm.
One of the powers of that brain is exploration, really deep, non-judgmental curiosity. So if you can, designers are really good at like interviewing clients in the beginning and finding out what they want and need. So if you can put that hat on and put on that curiosity mindset and not take it personally and just have a conversation, you might be able to get to what's really underneath it.
Mhm.
Um, an example that's not really design related, but that I like to use is two people are want to go out to lunch together, and one says, I want to go to the Mexican place, and the other says, I want to go to the Italian place. Well, if on just the level of position, Mexican, Italian, one person has to kind of lose, quote unquote. But if you talk a little bit more and one wants the Italian place because their doctor told them to eat a little healthier and they want to have some fish, and the person picked the Mexican because they really want to sit outside, and it's like, oh, well, let's go to the Japanese place that has outside seating and lots of fish.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so that, you know,
I can see where that principle is also really helpful with politics. I've tried my best in this insane situation we find ourselves in,
mm,
where I'm saying, okay, what could be the good outcome of this? I don't believe that the means justify the ends all the time. I'm just not
mm-hmm,
that person. But
mm-hmm,
what one good thing might come out of this bad, what feels like not great to me?
yeah,
And that has been helpful. It has helped
mm-hmm,
me see a different point of view of some of my friends. So
yeah.
it's a way, I guess, of you. I like the example you gave of the restaurant. That makes sense to
Yeah.
me.
Well, and also, I've seen on TV and I've also experienced if you really get to talk to someone who maybe has different views than you and at the end of the day when you boil it down, they're concerned about their kids' education. They're concerned about them being safe. They're concerned about their bills. Like we have a lot of the same core concerns. Um, so, just leaving that little opening of like, okay, I don't need to be 100% right. The other person might be 10% right it just diffuses things a little.
Yeah. And this is not inconsistent with something a business coach taught me a long time ago, which is it's 100% my fault. Whatever is going on with
Uh-huh.
what the client complains about the bill, it's 100% my fault. Meaning that I haven't done what I need to do to prepare the client for the bill and how that works and what that's going to feel like. And so if I
Hmm.
can go into that with that approach, it doesn't mean I say, oh, you don't like the bill? I'm just going to get rid of it. Let me just,
Yes.
that used to be the only tool in my toolkit. Oh,
Yeah.
you don't want to pay
That's
that?
the
Don't
pleaser.
worry about it.
Yeah.
That's
Don't
the pleaser
worry.
in me, right? That doesn't work because that's a lose for me. And what you're talking about is how to create win-win situations. So
Yes.
the client may not love paying for your full bill, but they love that you're managing the project for them. They don't have
Hmm.
time for it, they don't have the expertise for it.
Hmm.
So that's a way that I think of it as well. Like if you're struggling with thinking it's 100% your fault, then at least think it's, 10%. You can
Right.
start
Well,
there.
and a cousin of that, what you just said about it's 100% my fault, or a way of looking at it that might not feel so onerous is it's 100% of what you can do anything about. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
You can only do anything about what's within your control.
Yeah.
So 100% of my part is my part, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's the whole situation because again, your clients or whoever are coming in with this survival brain and they've
Yeah.
got their own things. So they're 100% responsible for their part, which you have zero control over.
Yeah. But what was really empowering for me about the 100% my fault in a situation exactly like this, where the clients complained about the bill and the solution is not to get rid of the bill. The solution is to figure out how to get clients to stop complaining about the
Yes.
bills.
That's
And,
the
and
gift
if
of knowledge.
Right. And it's trying a new system. It's trying
Yes.
a new protocol. How can I write these bills so they make more sense to the client? How can I create log sheets where the client goes, oh my God, I can't believe they did all that in one
Yeah.
month. That seems like a bargain compared to
Uh-huh.
whatever. So there are all kinds of things I can do if it's my fault. I can try to fix certain things, not fix the client, but fix the other things, right?
Yeah.
One of the things you talked about on your website, I noticed there was something called lifestyling.
Uh-huh.
Is this part of that?
Yes. This is lifestyling's my own word for sort of my unique blend of what I bring to the table. So it's the mindset work, it's my 30 years of experience in corporate America and small business and the design industry. I'm trained in an energy healing modality. Um, So I believe every person, including myself, is as unique as their thumbprint with what we bring to our work or to any situation. And so the lifestyling is my moniker for my secret sauce. Which
Can you,
there's also a little bit of magic, which I know designers can relate to because what we all do is it's part science and it's part magic, right? Like
yeah,
there's the system side that you can say if you do A, B, C, or your 15-step process that, you're going to do better. And then there's the design side or the relational side that it's not 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. It's,
right.
you know,
And
X cubed.
exactly. And you referred to this earlier, that I used to think of it as a geographical fix. If I move to a different city, all my problems will be solved. But oh,
Right.
guess what? I moved with me
I'm
and I
still
just brought the
there.
problems, right? So you could have great systems, but if you're still sabotaging yourself unwittingly,
Yes.
unknowingly,
Yeah.
you're they're not going to work for you as well as they might.
Right. You won't, that peak level of not only performance and results, but ultimately like happiness and satisfaction and that internal wellness that, that only really taking care of ourselves, body, mind, and spirit can do, added to the not having the lack of insanity, having your systems and processes and being buttoned up on the outside as well.
Yeah.
And
So
I just wanted to bring up when you said, oh, if my clients are complaining about bills, there's something I can do better. Another great mindset shift is any kind of situation we would label as bad, like a client complaining about their bills, there's a gift or an opportunity in it.
mm,
So how can I
yeah.
do this better? What can I learn? Is there a different way I can do this? That's when I said the gift of knowledge. Um, it could also be, is there one of those? So there's five powers to our that sage brain I mentioned. There's a curiosity, there's empathy. That's number one. Empathy for yourself, first of all, because goodness knows we just beat ourselves up all day long, right? Empathy to self and other, to ourselves and the other. Curiosity, creativity, which, designers have in spades. There's a power called navigate, which is about deeper meaning and purpose. And then activate, which is clear-headed action. It's not the reaction of that sabotaging, like, oh, I gotta just spring into action because someone complained. No, that clear-headed action is about getting into your body, you know, looking at the situation objectively, and then taking a discerning action and one that's more of a response than really reacting.
And I imagine you're going
Um,
to say that so much of this is kind of hardwired. And so you may think that you're taking, or you may be taking a clear-headed action. I like that phrase, clear-headed action.
mhm.
But it may not be the first clear-headed action you take to change a situation may not be the action that ultimately fixes it completely, but at least you won't be worse off. You know what I mean? Like try
Yes.
something new, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Mm,
If you've tried it a certain, like if you were like me back in the day, my only solution to a client complaining about a bill was just to lower the bill. That was
hmm
it. I mean, it was the fastest solution. I
hmm
told myself I didn't care about money. I wanted the client to be happy. I have integrity. I'll make it up later. In a decade goes by and you're like, what? This is just not working.
Yeah.
So I had to get comfortable being uncomfortable, trying something new that didn't feel
Yes.
right. And then eventually I'm like, okay, that worked. That actually worked.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so try something different, try something
Trying
new.
something
So
different.
what do you see when people come to you, Janine? Like what's the thing you hear when somebody shows up on your website for a consultation?
Probably the most common thing is people want more ease and balance
Mm.
in their work and their life. Um, yeah, that is definitely the thread, I would say, that
Are they
is running.
stressed, like overworking stressed, or are they overwhelmed not being able to manage the client?
It depends on the individual. Um, Sometimes it's overwhelm from just so much to do and not knowing where to start. Sometimes it's financial stress from maybe they're not either getting the projects they want to get or being as profitable as they want. Sometimes it's there's stuff from their life leaking into the business, which is unavoidable. And so that, those challenges and pressures combined are creating stress. You know, Sometimes it's just keeping up with, I had one client who was spending 60% of their time on email. And it's kind of hard to be happy at what you're doing, but also to, run a business well if you're trapped in your email 60% of the time. Um, so there's all sorts of reasons. And I just think too, we're so wired and connected, and the expectation of response times has just gotten so unrealistic, I think, that, you've got your social accounts and your email, and people are texting and DMing, and maybe you're using Slack and you're supposed to answer all of it within an hour. And if you don't, someone will send you another message. Did you get my message? It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Uh,
it does there can be days that feel like that. There's no question about it.
yeah.
What if you could wave a magic wand, and I know that part of what you do, you said is magic,
Yes.
so your energy and healing. What would you want for our industry overall? What would you say is like, oh, I would love if every designer felt this way, every architect could just have this.
I would love people to understand that it is okay and actually imperative for your creative self and your happiness um, to make time for that and take time for that, and that it's not indulgent or selfish. Um, because and when I say that, I mean both your creativity and also just the self-care element of it. That, the I have to be working all the time is a lie, and you're not going to do your best work um, if you're not filling yourself up. And
Yeah.
so to be your most creative and give the best to your clients, and really, I think to have your your best business, it's okay to take care of yourself and not sweat the small stuff, to use a kind of a cliche.
Yeah, it's pretty good advice, I would say. Janine, for someone listening who's curious and they would like to find out more about how to work with you, how does that work? What kind of programming and courses
Yeah,
and coaching do you offer?
thank you for asking. So I have a 10-week masterclass where we dive deep into this mindset work that we're talking about. It's actually a framework called positive intelligence that I didn't create, but I study and I teach it. And that is, I love doing that. It's a small group of your peers. One pod just wrapped up, and I'm gonna have another one starting soon. It's amazing to see in 8 weeks what positive transformation people can make with just, um, shifting their mindset a bit. I had one participant who had been putting off for years letting her admin go, and was able to enter that conversation in such a way and have the conversation that both of them left feeling good about the conversation, even though she was letting her go.
Yeah.
So that's a 10-week small group program. It's my mental fitness masterclass. I work one-on-one with generally leaders of firms, principals, doing one-on-one coaching. So we meet every other week, and we tackle their challenges, their goals, their objectives. They're very much in the driver's seat of that process. I don't have a set curriculum when it comes to my one-on-one coaching. It's more of a dance that we do. And then I work with firms in a larger context, and a more consultative context where um, I come in, sort of assess the situation, and come up with a customized proposal for what I think they might need. That could include the one-on-one coaching. I have all my one-on-one clients go through the master class, but then there might be workshops that I bring to their whole staff, or strategy sessions with the leadership on things like the vision for the firm, or their interpersonal interactions as partners, or partner responsibilities. And then if there are things that I don't specialize in, I also have other people in the industry I know who are more specialized. Like maybe it's a very specific HR issue or a
Yeah.
finance issue. So there's business consulting, coaching, and the master class.
It's a complicated business. It's a complicated industry, and life and your business and your life are enmeshed. There's
Yes.
no getting away from it. So learning to live in some sort of equanimity or balance is really important.
And just feeling empowered too, and like you have agency, that you're not, you know, you're surfing the waves of life that are coming at you instead of getting pummeled by the waves at the shore
Yeah.
and just reacting to them. And that's, again, I think, having those physical systems in your business and then the mindset piece really comes together nicely to allow you to do that. Um,
Beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. We like to end every episode with something we call design intervention. It's just a great piece of advice, like business advice. It doesn't necessarily have to be related to your talk. Like it
Uh-huh.
might be something somebody told you when you started your business.
Yep. So I heard from a coach a while back that clarity comes through action,
Mm.
meaning that you can't think yourself into the right action. You've got to just take that first step, and the path will appear. And you might step off the path at times, but staying in action of some sort, like wise, clear-headed action.
Yeah.
But yeah, that our thinker, our logical mind, um, it's good for those 1 + 1 + 1 kind of problems or,
Yeah.
things we're trying to solve. But that our most of the issues in this business are much more complex, and anytime you're bringing in people, that complicates things, and that we need more of our intuitive mind and just to like take that first step. So I
Oh
love
gosh,
that
yeah.
instead of sitting here trying to figure it out, quote unquote, just like you were saying, you change your billing a little. You might not get it right that first time. You might have to tweak it
Try
again, but just do something. Yes.
do
Yeah.
something different. It's Cheryl and I talk about this a lot because she deals more one-on-one with business of design members or those who are curious, like the heartbreak of seeing somebody who comes to an event and says, "Oh, I've got to do it. I'm gonna do it. This is the year." And then you see them the next year and it's like, "Okay, no, this is the year." Like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
like, just do something, do
Yeah.
anything, and
Yeah.
just get yourself out of this stagnation. That's
Mm-hmm.
the death spiral, is
Mm-hmm.
stagnation. So thank you so much. Thank you for, no, you were going to say something. It was
Well,
a
there's
good
one
thought,
more.
whatever it was. I love
Yeah,
it.
there's one more tool I'd love to share because it's really
Yes.
easy and really effective. And I like giving folks things they can, put into action. So I mentioned how our brain has this 3-to-1 negativity bias.
Yeah.
So if you want to counteract that, if there's a situation you know, that's challenging you or a person, I mean, we were talking about client interactions. You can counteract that by intentionally having a 3-to-1 positive ratio in your thoughts and interactions. So let's say, Bob is really difficult to deal with, or you think so. So when you catch yourself having one sort of negative thought, oh, Bob's difficult, think of three things. He comes to meetings on time, he's got a nice smile, and, he always says hello, he's always kind to me, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that can start undoing that 3-to-1 negative. And also in your interactions, they don't have to be grand gestures. It could just be, give someone a nice smile, a genuine thank you. I appreciate that you're always on time because just naturally we will communicate the negative and not acknowledge the positive. So that can really have a magical effect. I like to call these Jedi mind tricks because
Yeah.
they're just simple little tweaks. You will certainly feel better if you're not grinding on the negative, right? If you're having
Right.
positive thoughts, and the other person undoubtedly will feel it too because that energy is contagious.
I love that. I'm glad you got that in because I think that that's something I can try immediately, if not
Yeah.
sooner. I had this yang, normally yoga teachers are delightful. I had this a Yangar teacher the other day. I thought she was so snappy and kind of rude. And like she didn't like how I was, I don't know, setting up to, how you hang upside down, or she didn't like how I
Yes.
did the blank. Anyway, she kind of snapped at me and I thought, oh, that was weird. And then she did it again. And so I've decided I don't like her and I'm never going to her
Yep.
class again. And I
Yep.
thought, well, what if she was just having a bad day? Maybe I could give her another swipe at it
Uh-huh.
and try to think of three positive things about her and try again.
Yeah. Good for you. Because yeah, that feels yucky, right?
Yeah,
That kind of
really.
empties the trust bucket or the
Yeah,
connection bucket,
yeah,
and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that again.
no,
And celebrate your victories. That's another thing.
yeah,
Small, even the small ones.
yeah.
And I like to physically celebrate, like I even go, woohoo. It's amazing. No, I try
If you're
it,
just
Kimberly.
listening, you have to imagine what
I,
Janine was doing physically with her body when she said, woohoo.
I do a little dance in my seat, and it sounds so hokey, and that survival brain is going to be like, "Oh my God, that's so stupid. Don't listen to her." But I'm telling you, time today, Kimberly, if you're feeling a little like down or just not motivated, just take 2 seconds and go, "Woohoo!" and you will. It shifts your energy. And
Okay, I like it. Woohoo!
we don't
Practicing now.
celebrate our victories. We
No,
flog
we don't.
ourselves,
I
do
don't.
more,
No, we're
do
doing like on
better,
to the next, on to the
on to
next,
the
on to the
next.
next, on to the next. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. Thank you so much. Great conversation,
Yes,
Janine.
thank you. I appreciate it. It was really great to meet you, and I hope your listeners got something from today.
Absolutely.